The 30th anniversary Pokemon card set has been teased, as well as Pokemon games that are going to be coming out, Winds and Waves for Generation 10. In today's video, we're going to be diving into those two announcements and talking about the future of the TCG. What up? Welcome back to Pokeching. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you haven't joined the Ching gang yet, go ahead, hit the buttons. We do Pokemon card openings, talk about the Pokemon TCG overall, and if you like that kind of stuff, don't hesitate to join us. So people have been talking a lot about the announcements that took place on the 27th of February for Pokemon Day, and especially about the TCG for the 30th anniversary TCG set, and also the newest games Winds and Waves. So first off, we have the TCG set that should be releasing in October, which included a variety of old Pokemon cards, like the base set Charizard, the Crystal Lugia, and some of those legend cards that came from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. What isn't clear yet, and what most people have been talking about recently, is whether or not those cards that were shown in the announcement are going to be included in the 30th anniversary TCG set, or if they're just there to show the passing of time of the TCG and the various eras that we've gone through over the years. So let's take a look at the cards that have been revealed. So starting off, we have, the base set Pikachu in English, we have a German base set Charizard, so there are a variety of different languages shown here. We have the Crystal Lugia and the Palkia Level X there, so we have a variety of different eras. We have this non-holo Uxie card from Platinum or Diamond and Pearl, I can't really remember. And there we have that legend card that I was talking about from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. And here we have a Solgaleo, Genesect, we have some tag team cards, we have some amazing rares with the Raikou, and we also do have some V-Stars from Sword and Shield. So we do have a variety of different sets and cards, and this is what really is getting people here, and I'm going to try pause on this bit here. So we do have a Mew and a Mewtwo that have kind of like a reflective metallic texture to them. And a lot of people are wondering if this is going to be the new gimmick. So, with Pokemon and Pokemon TCG, the games and so on, we've had Gigantamax, we've had Mega Pokemon, we've had the Terra-stylized Pokemon, and now we're looking at something new here, and maybe that's a teaser as to what we're going to get. So they kind of look like they're metallic, kind of reflective, and maybe it's a new form. And I would actually be kind of interested here to see if the new forms of the Pokemon will actually remain the original forms, if that makes sense. So will the Pokemon still look like their original form, but just have kind of like a different effect on them? Maybe some sort of like an aura or something. That would be really cool, because it would mean that we could really enjoy all the Pokemon that we know and love without risking having some sort of gimmick like, the Crowns and Terrastall Pokemon, which I personally wasn't a fan of. I don't know if you guys liked it, let me know in the comments down below. But I know a lot of people didn't really like the Crowns, and, they might grow on us, who knows. But I think it would be cool if we could get kind of like original Pokemon, just with something new. Kind of cool, but they look the same. Once again, that's my personal opinion. You might not agree, and that's totally fine. So now that we've looked at some of the cards that have been coming out over the years, the next big question is whether the 30th anniversary set is going to end the Mega era. So are there going to be any other Mega sets after that? Or are we going to jump into Generation 10 Winds and Waves Pokemon TCG sets? So that would make sense in terms of the timing. I'm not sure when the game releases exactly. I think that's in 2027. So there might be some other sets. Maybe there's like a final Mega Era specialty set between the 30th anniversary set and Generation 10. Who knows what will happen? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. Do you think the 30th anniversary set is going to be an ending to the Mega Era? Or is there still going to be some Mega type Pokemon card sets coming out after that? And speaking of the ending of the Mega Era and the beginning of Winds and Waves, let's take a look at some parts of the trailer to see what we can maybe expect from these new games. So the trailer starts out with, this sketchbook here, and we're going to kind of go into the older ideas from the older games and going through the eras. So like the, the TCG trailer where they're showing the progression of the different Pokemon cards through the years, we're kind of looking at, look here, we have Johto here, so, Ecruteak City. Here we have the Kecleon that's blocking the bridge. In Gen 3, here we have Mount Coronet, Gen 4 with the snowy area, Generation 5, Black and White. Then we have Gen 6 here, that iconic tower that we all know. Here we have Alola, so Sun and Moon. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have Sword and Shield with the Gigantamax, or was that, I can't remember. Maybe this is Scarlet and Violet. I didn't play all the games. And then we have like Pikachu kind of looking out onto the new era. So what's coming next? What's coming with Generation 10? That's how I'm interpreting this anyway. This is just me watching it with you guys and kind of trying to decipher it. Not that there's much to decipher, but you know, there we go. We have these Pokemon wearing accessories, so is that going to be a feature in the games? Like, you know, fashion shows like there used to be. I think it was in Generation 3, there was like beauty contests or something like that. Maybe it was a bit later. And now we're on to, you know, the actual images of the new game. So I haven't played Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield, but there was a lot of criticism that I'm very familiar with in the, you know, the quality of the, you know, the games, the locations, and so on. And this looks much, much richer. You know, the quality of the gameplay or the images is much nicer. You know, it looks much better, in my opinion, from anything that I've seen. And I think a lot of people have kind of agreed on that. And so we're going through some of the environments that look really interesting. So caves with lava, you know, waterfalls, forests. It looks really rich in terms of the decor and the environments and so on. And what's really interesting is that we're going back to having underwater locations. So this is coming up in the trailer in just a little bit here. We're going to see an underwater environment. So if you remember in Generation, I think it was Generation 3, we could use dive and go underwater, but obviously that was Game Boy, so it was very basic. Here we have the 3 starters. I don't know what you guys think. So we have Brout, which is the grass bird type, or grass type, grass type is what I said, Pombon, which is a fire type, and we have Gekwa, which is my personal favorite so far from what I've seen, which is a water type. And I don't know if this in the clouds here is supposed to be some sort of like a clue here, the cloud's a different color. But there we are, diving underwater into the underwater environment, which looks really, really cool. So that would be a really cool element of the game. But yeah, overall, it looks like, you know, Game Freak and Pokemon Company have really heard what people had to say about the older games and them being kind of like average in terms of, you know, the graphics and so on. And they seem to have stepped things up a little bit. So we'll have to see what the actual gameplay looks like. But we won't be getting any of that anytime soon because this game is supposed to be coming out in 2027. So it's a global simultaneous release in 2027 for Winds and Waves. And so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it looks really cool. Let me know which starter so far kind of grabs your attention. Which one would you think you would pick? I'm waiting to see, obviously, the evolutions and so on. But Gekwa is the one that I prefer so far in terms of its first form. And yeah, so that's a little look at the trailer for Winds and Waves. So back to the TCG. Once again, the big question is, will the 30th anniversary end the Mega Era, and then will we go into Generation 10 with Winds and Waves? And also, do you think that Generation 10 will have a good reception as it releases? Obviously, we haven't seen any of the Pokemon yet, so that's pretty hard to tell right now, but I wonder if it's going to be similar to Scarlet and Violet when it first came out. You know, it didn't do so well. The TCG really calmed down at that point because, you know, we weren't familiar with the newer Pokemon yet, and obviously we weren't really drawn to them. Is the same thing going to happen with Winds and Waves? That's one of the big questions that I'm asking myself, and I'm wondering if after the 30th anniversary we will finally start to cool down in terms of the TCG, finally start to have a bit of peace where we can kind of enjoy it and buy stuff at cheaper prices. I do think that sometime after the 30th anniversary there still will be some hype. You know, it will take a bit of time for it to die down, but I really am hoping that things will cool off and that we will be able to enjoy the hobby and the TCG as we did just over a year ago. Anyway guys, I'm really excited to see what new Pokemon will be released, what the TCG is going to be like, what the new gimmick is going to be like for the Pokemon in Winds and Waves. And if you can, let me know your thoughts down below overall from this video for the TCG or the games. Just let me know what you think about all of this, what you predict. If you have anything you want to say or share, feel free to do so. I love reading your comments and replying to your comments as well and having a bit of a discussion with you guys. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you are interested in these kinds of videos in the future, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of future videos. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace out. Bye!